Today we're visiting with Anthony Capps, who is a graduate of EDM 310 and a former lab associate in the EDM 310 lab. He is now teaching full time at the Gulf Shores Elementary School, third grade. He's a good friend of mine and a good friend of EDM 310, and I want to ask him a few questions today that may help those of you in EDM 310 better prepare for your teaching career. Anthony, the first thing I want to talk to you about is what it's like to be a teacher. Many of the students in EDM 310 decide they want to go into teaching because they like kids. And I sometimes wonder whether they realize how much work it is. I thought I'd title this Up at 3 a.m. to bed at midnight. That may, in fact, not be correct. You might not get to bed till 1 a.m. I don't know. So tell us about the day in the life of a third grade teacher.
Okay. Well, I just finished my first year at Gulf Shores Elementary, and the first few months were great because I was able to sustain 16-hour days through October. I mean, every single day, including weekends, weekends I was short to about 8 hours, but on the weekdays, I was working 16 hours until October came, and I was
That's
liking
16
my
hours a
job.
day, right?
Yes,
So,
a day.
okay.
That is not an exaggeration at all. And I liked my job a lot then, but then eventually I just became exhausted, physically and mentally and emotionally exhausted by about October. So that only got me through August, September, and pretty good ways into October. And then I decided, okay, this is unreasonable. I'll cut my days down to 10 hours. And I did just that. You know, I got there at 7, left at 5, that type of thing. And it was miserable. I hated my job. Like, I literally had a calendar to where every day I would come home and write yes or no on the calendar so that I would have data for the next year. So I figured I'm going to make myself go through the whole year before I quit. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to look at all the days and decide, was this a yes day or a no day, and add them all up. And whichever one had the most, that's how I was going to make my decision of whether I was going to work the next year or not. And I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, that's new.
In November, about November, I kind of got used to it. And the reason why I hated my job so much in October was because I was working 16-hour days and getting everything done. But when I cut myself down to 10, I didn't have a plan to get everything done in that 10 hours. So after consulting the best teachers that I could and figuring out how they worked their schedule, I was trying different ways to get everything done and figuring out what I could let go and what I couldn't. And by mid-November, I finally got it figured out. So after a month and a half of real agony, um, I started liking my job again. And by January, I started loving it. And I don't think there's a more rewarding experience for myself, but I definitely don't think this is for everybody. And the reason why I say that is because on any given day, I can work until 8 or 9 o'clock at night up at the school, and I can guarantee you there's going to be other teachers there working as well. Because if you want to be a good teacher and you want to work in a good school, you've got to work hard even when you're off the clock, even though we're salary paid. And that extends into summertime. I didn't realize how difficult it would be this summer to get everything done that I need to get done for next year in order to have a really quality year. Um, but that's been a real challenge. So I've been meeting people for breakfast and meeting people for lunch and dinner. We had our great little meetings at 5 o'clock just so we can eat and have our meeting at the same time because there are so many things going on. I am working at the Bodenhammer Center to supplement my income over the summertime, and I'm taking my 30-minute breaks because the Bodenhammer Center is right across the street from my school. I
Tell me
take
a
my
little bit.
30
I don't know what the Bodenheimen Center is.
It's just a rec center
Oh,
where
okay.
we have a kids camp
All
during the
right.
summertime. So we get a 30-minute break for lunch, and I literally take that 30 minutes. I jet down to the school. I work in my classroom for 25 minutes and then come back.
This is
Just
this
so
summer you're doing that, right?
every day of this summer, yes. So I
Every
finally
day.
got my classroom set up, and I'm coming home in the afternoons and doing research and everything because if you're a quality teacher, you get really, really incredible opportunities, but it takes a lot of work to get those opportunities. So I've been invited to join a summer academy by Dr. Lee, and
He's
later I'll
the
be
superintendent of schools in Baldwin County, right? Dr. Lee
right,
is. Mhm.
Right. And then I'll be presenting at the GRITS conference. And then earlier, I was invited by Alex to do some work with them, which is the Alabama Learning Exchange for the state.
And what's the GRIS
And
conference? I don't know about that either.
well, it's no longer called the GRITS conference. It used to be GRITC, and now it is the Digital Learning Renaissance. So I'll be one of the speakers
Oh,
there.
okay. This summer at the, yeah, okay. Great.
Right. And
I'm
then,
going to miss that, so I may get you to take notes for me.
absolutely.
Super.
But in order to do all those things, you have to be prepared for them. So in the afternoons, I'll come home from work and then spend an hour or two doing research and trying to figure out how I'm going to revise my last year's experience to make this year even better so that I can live the walk that I want to preach. So, and there's so many components to education. Just as soon as you feel like you might have a grasp on something, you realize that there's so many layers underneath that you can dig to that you'll never become a master. They call it a practice. So teaching is a practice. It's something that you practice every day, and you can get better and better, but you'll never be the best, and you'll never be the best of what you can be because there's always something more to learn about what you're learning.
You know,
And unless you're trying to do that, it is not a shift work job at all. So if you're looking to do something that you're going to love and you can think of it as a hobby and really in love doing the research and love seeing the fruits of what you do, then this is the job for you. And I do love that, and there are many people out there that do. But if not, then something to where you have regular hours might be more desirable.
right. Well, some of the, I think that some students come, but none of them come with any real experience in what it means to be a teacher. But some of them come thinking that it's going to be a really fun day because you get to work with kids, and it's sort of like reading to them or playing games or interacting with them, or it's just, they have this notion that it's, an hour worth of Bible school where they've taught expanded into 8 hours a day. It doesn't work that way. Is that right? Is that what you're telling me? That it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and if you ask me about lessons, then I can go further into that.
I'm going to talk. We're going to talk about lessons in a minute, but
Okay. It is indeed a lot more than playing and interacting and reading to the kids, although all of those things are there. But you've got to remember that you have, between 20 and 30 kids from very different backgrounds, and your goal is 100% engagement so that you can get maximum learning to happen. And if you're shooting for 100% engagement, then you have to think of how can you present information and get them to discover information in a way that's appealing to all of your students.
now that's 100% engagement of 100% of your students 100% of the time. Is that right?
That's right.
That's the goal.
Yes.
It's that is a real challenge. Let me tell you. For 45 years, I've tried just parts of that, and I don't think I have had a single week go by with that success at all. But it is worthwhile, and when it does, when I have students like you, it's all worthwhile. Everything I've ever done. So that's great. I'm sure you feel that way too about some of your students, and you could tell us about that. Okay, thank you very much, Anthony. Appreciate that, and I hope that what Anthony has had to say will be of great interest to you when you're preparing for your job, which is going to take a lot of time, a lot of work, and hopefully will be very rewarding for you.